Well, to those of you that have mastered Blender, that's awesome. Great for you. I have not. Anyway, this is what I've discovered so far about the extracting the basic features of music. I was wondering a couple days ago, and haven't had much time to work on it, how the brain simplifies music. So I finally found this awesome chart. Um, and anyway, see if I can understand this good. So apparently the meaning of music seems to be extracted between 250 and 550 milliseconds. The critical N400 is there, no surprise to me, which I think is awesome though, that it's there. Okay, so the auditory brainstem and thalamus, those things tend to regulate emotion, although more than emotion is involved, but I guess because it's not necessarily the prefrontal cortex that's involved so much of music. At this point in time, it's at the deep level, at instinctive level. It happens even when you're not conscious. These things are processed, just like you don't have to be conscious to experience emotion. So, at the first 10 to 100 milliseconds, you've got, and 100 milliseconds, remember, is 1/10 of a second, which isn't really as quick as it seems. I mean, 1/10 of a second, um, that's like, say, 10 beats per second. You can do that with your hand 10 per second very easily. Anyway, so 10 to 100 milliseconds. Some of the features are extracted. The height of the pitch, the chroma. I don't know why they use chroma. It's just the note. It's the note of the pitch. Timbre, intensity, how loud it is, how rough it is. I guess that's the texture. I don't know. This is somebody's names. The newer words they use for the qualities of notes. They just keep changing the names. That's fine. So then around 100 to 200 milliseconds, and remember 200 milliseconds is 1/5 of a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 5 beats per second is 200 milliseconds. So it's not as, it sounds like it's super fast, but it's really not. You can, anyway, people will disagree with me, that's fine. You have Gestalt formation, melodic and rhythmic grouping. So I don't know. I guess this is like kind of the Gestalt. That would be remembering, the gist. Well, Gestalt gist, the gist of the melody and the rhythm. Like, is this rock? Is this jazz? What is this feeling? Where does this seem to fit? And here it says auditory sensory memory. Um, I don't know I don't know what that means, but you can guess as good as mine. Then you have the analysis of the intervals, chords, melodies, and time intervals. Okay, I suppose. And then structure building, you have harmony, meter, rhythm, and timbre. Now it says 180 to 400 millisecond. Now 400 millisecond is pretty significant because that's the point that your linguistic systems kind of kick in. Like, well, like you can be. Have you ever been something happened and you don't have the words for it yet, and then boom, then you have the words? Your grammar systems kick in at that point. You're conscious before 400 milliseconds, but just the words just haven't come together yet in your brain. Your grammar systems just haven't fully kicked in. So there's always that 4/10 of a second delay, which is what 400 milliseconds in. 4/10 of a second, that's half a second. That's a long time. You look at a clock, tick tock. It's almost one tick of a talk. So, and you can certainly watch a clock and be aware of that, the tick before the talk. You're conscious there. But there's a lag. So we're used to it, but there's a lag there. Anyway, so at that conscious moment, you've got the harmony, meter, rhythm, timbre. So this would be equivalent to the grammar, when the grammar systems kick in. So harmony, meter, rhythm, and timbre would be where music is a language. That part of it is like a language. These other parts earlier are not so much like a language, somewhat like a language, but not like English or French or German. Music is different from language. They have some things in common, but they have some things different. And here you have it, 600 to 900 milliseconds, which is almost a full second. Structural analysis and repair. I'm guessing that means, wow, there's something wrong with this music. I don't know what that means. It sounds interesting though. Let's see. Vitalization, autonomic nervous system, and multimodal associative cortexes. No idea. And premotor action, immune system. Okay, so I guess that point is, I don't know, makes you feel better? Music makes yourself less sick, I guess? Okay, and emotion. So that is my first thoughts looking at this.